For Panthers Fans Only is a sports podcast intended for mature audiences and contains profanity as well as extremely spirited conversation. What you see and hear are the sole opinions and depictions of each individual, not at all inclusive of the entire cast or any guests associated with our show. Thanks for tuning in, and always remember to stand on business.
I don't like that my headphones ain't hitting the way I need them to, bro. Maybe my ears are just off.
Yeah, I think that's the problem.
I put it on my mama. Good request.
We just got rid of Sweet Carolina.
We did? Oh yeah, no, yeah, that was never gonna happen. All it was I was gonna change it to fucking what's the name of that Petey Pablo song? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah, North Carolina.
Yeah, because that's what they play in the stadium during the game. I don't know what they play after a win because I ain't seen none of them at home this year. Maybe it's been me.
Sounds about right.
Hey, I don't know if it's too hot or not. I don't care personally. I'll be honest. I just ain't been in the mood for bullshit lately. 30 days straight. I ain't sleep for 30 I ain't sleep from 2 to 3. Niggas gonna request a song and not dance, not move, just look crazy.
I done told you I wasn't.
I mean, imagine that.
You should have came in riding the chopper into the screen.
Not for real. I know this joint's gonna be way too loud. I'm sorry. I apologize ahead of time.
I feel like there's a rat in our group chat that works for the Panthers media team.
Why you say that?
They bit my whole fucking flow with that little response to the Saints.
Oh,
that shit is wild.
I don't remember that. Hey, I don't want anybody to get it confused. We will go to Germany and get clipped by the Giants next week. But we'll enjoy this one. And don't shake your head because you're part of the reason why I'm as jaded as I am.
Blame me.
If we get blocked off of YouTube, we just get blocked. Go tune in on Spotify. Go tap in with us on DSPs. If we get blocked, we get blocked. Go watch on Rumble. Something. Welcome to For Panthers Fans Only. Press the red. Yeah. Wait. Nobody say a word, bro. Nobody say anything. Good job. That's why it was low. That's why it was low. My apologies.
So you fucked something up.
Shh. Must. Damn, so you ain't gonna put. Oh, you gonna make nigga beg you for.
Just sit back. Nobody look at me. Just look straight.
He just be talking, bro.
Yo, Thug home. Hey, Tori on the way. I kept trying to tell y'all Megan bitch ass was lying. But then when I say it, I'm misogynist. I'm this, I'm that, But cool. Y'all don't believe me, cool. I'm just a conspiracy theorist, right?
Straight from the horse's mouth.
Literally. Literally.
I'm a gangster, I don't damn baby, I poke. Right now, I'm surrounded by some.
Good afternoon, good morning, whatever time it is when you're watching this. Welcome to For Panthers Fans Only. Why are you looking at me, bro? How you feeling? I see you're weird.
How the fuck am I weird, nigga?
Why do you have that jersey on?
The fuck, nigga? I paid for it. Fuck. Why the fuck do you have that sweatshirt on?
It was a gift. But the thing about it is, Never mind. We'll get into it. Welcome to Four Panthers fans only. What, bro? What, bro? Welcome to Four Panthers fans only. I'm your host, JJ.
I'm your co-host, Terrence.
I'm your producer, Tavian.
If you don't already, make sure to follow us on social media at For Panthers Fans Only on Instagram, TikTok. Find us on X at FPFO_podcast. Also, tap in with us on DSPs. Like I mentioned earlier, you can find us at For Panthers Fans Only. If you go to Google and just search For Panthers Fans Only, I promise everything will pop up. Thank you so much for being here. If you're watching on YouTube, again, thank you for being here. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn the bell notification on. Tap in with us. Last week, we actually just did a ticket giveaway, completely free. Instructions to enter were very, very basic. We just wanted to do a fan appreciation type giveaway. Ended up giving away 2 tickets in the club section. So you just simply never know what's going to pop off when you fucking with FPFO. So make sure to tap in on all social media, DSPs, everywhere FPFO is, you need to be following. It's very, very simple.
Did we ever get an update from them on how their experience was?
Yeah, they said they had a good time. Shout out to them.
They just said it privately, didn't tag us anywhere after being put up in the club. I'm just asking questions. I was just curious.
I mean, would you tag somebody if they put you in the club?
Yeah, if they gave me free tickets.
Well, ironically enough, we both of our winners. So the way that we selected the winner on Thursday night on the live stream. And contacted the winner. The winner hit us back up the following morning, and she said that her and her boyfriend weren't able to make it. So cool, as promised, we selected a new winner. Ironically enough, it was another woman, and I had random niggas DMing the page saying that we're not slick for doing what we're doing. And I'm just like, bro, I literally just spun the wheel, bro. Like, it's on the live stream, and I sent the picture of the wheel being spun on the Instagram story. But, he might have had a point, maybe. I don't know. All the names were up there.
He runs the Instagram, not me, so I don't know what the fuck he had going on.
I posted.
And the wheel. We've had, trust me, in our own experience with that wheel, we've had our theories about JJ and his doings.
What?
As
what
it pertains to our own fantasy football league and that same wheel and the same
Niggas
weird
get mad at me
draft
for
process.
something.
I'm just saying, so I can relate to where the fans are coming from.
How did you say
I
that?
understand the accusations.
Yeah, I agree.
So y'all were co-signing that shit.
I'm just saying, I'm not co-signing. It's understandable. I can see it.
Yeah, we just don't know because we wasn't there.
Were you on the live stream on Thursday when we selected the winner?
Yes, but I don't know how you set the wheel up and all that other shit, the ins and out with that
45 seconds.
There might be a reason you like using that wheel so much. I don't know. I'm just saying.
So now we cheat on our giveaways for FPFO. That's what I'm being told. And actually, the first winner didn't even follow us. So really, she would have been disqualified off rip if I was, manipulating things the way I would want them to go. Just because, what am I appreciating you for? You don't even follow or subscribe or anything.
Could be for other reasons.
What other reasons would you say?
I don't know. You tell me. You the one rigged it.
See. Get started. Intro to pod. Carolina Panthers win, 23?
How the fuck you want me to get started so bad?
23-22? Was that the final?
Yeah.
Cool. Just very, very briefly, I would like to say a good team win, but I don't know necessarily how I feel about the win overall. I'm not going to complain because it was a win. Let's start there. Anytime the Carolina Panthers win a football game, they just come so few and far between these days that, I'm just going to be extremely grateful whenever the Carolina Panthers win. But when you look at the statistics and you look at what the Saints did to us defensively, you look at some of the plays offensively and some of the execution, still left a lot to be desired. However, the Carolina Panthers ultimately win the football game. Bryce Young gets an opportunity to walk the team down the field, as he did. What else? Like I said, the defense came up when it mattered most. That's where I'll give them credit, because I'm not going to be negative today. Just because we've had a lot of negativity over this entire season. Over the last 8 games, we've won 1. So I'm going to be positive. So the defense came up big when we needed them to. Yeah, I don't really have much to say because we'll dive into a couple of things. We'll dive into Dave Canales because I know a lot of y'all were upset about the conservative play calling before halftime, myself included. A lot of y'all feel as though the playbook is completely different with Bryce and Andy Dalton. I mean, I agree because I believe that Bryce Young's skill set in comparison to Andy Dalton is limited. I mean, it's just very, very simple. I don't know how you can be a football fan and not understand that concept. I think it's very, very basic, and I think that you look at the product that each coach has put out on the field over the past 3, 4, 5, 6 years, I would make an argument that the only product that I've seen, product and or process that has been as refined as the one that we're currently seeing, would be Steve Wilkes.
I mean,
that's the only one.
The play calling has to be different because we seen it with Frank Wright. He was trying to run the same plays as what he was running in Indy, and
not gonna work.
Yeah, like we had that same caliber of offensive line, and that shit just didn't get it done. So Dave Canales would be a bad coach if he called the same exact plays that he called with Andy Dalton and Bryce Young, knowing that they're two completely different players. So I really don't understand why is that really an argument in between the fan base, honestly.
Yeah, I don't either. But people, I mean, we're just miserable. We're extremely miserable, and every small thing that we have to latch onto is going to happen. We've been very, very clear on our stance as it pertains to Dave Canales, and our support for him. But we're not going to cape for him. Like I said, I was frustrated with the fact that we didn't go for it on 4th and 2, closing out the second half. Now, as I was watching film, me and Tavian actually watched film together today, and he was just like, the thinking is it's less than 2 minutes left to go in the half. We're on the 50-yard line. We don't want to give the Saints short field. We get the ball out of half, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But in my mind, I'm just thinking, what realistically else do you have to lose? You don't got shit else to lose. So, I mean, go for it. Go for it. I want to see some of these young players execute. Mm-hmm. I want Bryce to be in uncomfortable positions as much as possible. I do.
I think it was justified in the fact that you won by 1 point. You won by 1 point. You don't go for it in that situation specifically just because you're right. You're right there at the midfield. You're right there at midfield. Bro, you can't be doing all that. Expect me to keep going. The technical difficulties we be having.
You're right.
But yeah, in that situation, man, there's like a minute before halftime. You get the ball back. You clearly are like still very up in the air about how much you trust Bryce Young, because at this point in time in his career, he hasn't really done anything to earn your trust. And in the sense of like, yeah, I'm gonna put the ball in your hands on 4th and 2 to go get us this first down, when it could really backfire and they could get some points right before halftime. And we only ended up winning by 1 anyway. And the defense held strong. You go into halftime, you come back out, and ultimately win the game. And Bryce earns that trust. Now, next week we can have the conversation about going for it on 4th and 2 because you don't let a game-winning drive.
If he starts. And that's another conversation we'll get into.
I mean, it seems like it's funny that every game that he's won thus far has been off of a last couple-minute game-winning drives.
Yeah.
But he just can't seem to do the shit in regular play for whatever reason consistently. I mean, I would say we seen him do it, like, throughout regular play, like in the Green Bay game, but it just seems like he plays his best when his back is against the wall and we actually need the points. But it's like
sometimes. But I'm with you.
When his back is against the wall. It seems like his back is always against the wall.
Self-inflicted. But yeah. Continue. I mean, if that's your stance, then that's how you feel.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't letting that nigga try to tell me what my stance was, but
Fair
I'm just
enough.
saying, like, the games that he's won throughout his career, which has only been, what, 4? 3? Something? 3?
Yeah.
Has been when...
Slow down, buddy.
I thought it was 2.
Has been when this...
Did he win last year?
He won against the Texans, but then...
And then what was the other one?
What was the
Saints,
other one?
The garbage time game? What other game did we win last year?
One against the Texans, the Falcons. They won against the
Yeah,
Falcons.
that's what it was.
Yeah.
So this is game 3. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Shout out to Bryce Young, too.
Yeah, it seems like those games have been the ones where you absolutely need the points with like 2-3 minutes left in the ball game, whatever it was, and we go down the field and score.
Fair enough. And I don't want to be the pessimist of the fan group or of the fan base. You know, that's not really my stilo anyway. I'm usually the delusional one. But it's just, you know, when you start the season off 1-7, it's just like very, very tough to kind of get up for a win. Like week 3, I was turned up and talking crazy because that's how I really felt. But I mean, at this point, what I do believe is that when Dallas comes to Charlotte, I know what we'll do to them. But nevertheless, I won't veer off too much.
Unnecessary.
You're right. My bad. My fault. It's just funny that niggas do all of that chatting just to have only one more win than us on the season. Like, me personally, I find comedic value in it. But I understand why everybody wouldn't. I do understand and get that, though. I receive it.
We're about in the same position y'all are in, with half the team being on IR at this point. I think we're competing with most injuries in the league with y'all. So
very possible. Well, the Saints have a lot as well.
And you see where the Saints are, you see where we are, you see where y'all are. Kind of what happens when you got practice squad niggas playing serious reps.
Touche. But yeah, can you have more energy? You have to be the energy person. I don't care about
I got energy because I think Bryce Young looked phenomenal.
See, so then we come on this pod and start doing too much. Phenomenal.
I thought he made some phenomenal throws.
Well, I will say the things that could have kind of took him over the top were riddled by shit that wasn't his fault, or by uncontrollables.
Xavier Legette pick.
Xavier Legette pick. The pass to David Moore. Those were some of the best passes that he's made thus far as a professional, and both of those were kind of, you know, taken aback by shit that he couldn't control, basically. And Fair enough. I think that if someone, I'm not going to say he played phenomenal, but I think if someone was to make that case and those plays were completed, then I could be like, okay, like I could see where you're getting at. But I mean, I'm not going to get gassed up by 171 yards.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. Phenomenal. Can you just take that word back? Can you use a different adjective, please?
I thought it was if you include David Moore catching that pass that hit him in the mouth, and you include the pass that Xavier Legette got snatched from him like he was a fucking Gerber baby.
That translated into just another interception on his.
Unfortunately, that he had nothing to do with because he got snatched. I feel like that should have been a fumble, truthfully.
Yeah, fair enough. But
you know. No, I thought Bryce played really, because you know why I say he played phenomenal is because this is the first time in his career that I've seen him play within himself. He didn't try to do too much. He didn't try to play outside of the scheme. He wasn't all happy-footed in the pocket. Everything was a little bit slower for him. He calmed down, and he just made the throws that he had to make. The bar is pretty low when it comes to phenomenal for Bryce Young right now. And
it was a game that he didn't lose himself, based off of his mistakes. Because typically most of the games he lost, he threw fucking 2-3 picks. Somehow ends up just getting strip sacked or just taking unnecessary sacks, putting the defense in bad position. So it was a relatively clean game for him other than that interception. So, I mean, he played good, but phenomenal, stretch.
But the day could have looked a lot different if that first pick the Saints didn't drop. I feel like that could have sent a spiral.
Yeah,
that could have sent the team spiraling because he's got to learn how to stop lollipopping them when he's throwing it across the middle.
Yes, that one, and there was another one down the sideline, I think, in the third quarter.
Alontae Taylor, I think he dropped it.
Yeah, that could have been a pick, too. So the day definitely could have gone way different. Thankfully, it didn't. And, I don't want to sound pessimistic. Like, I don't want FPFO to be that place. Like, y'all know what FPFO is about. Y'all know how we turn up after wins and stuff like that. But it's just very, very exhausting, I think, just based on how the season has gone so far. You trade away the – now, I will say, and I'll go ahead and go on record and say this, Bryce Young, without Deontay Johnson, looked a lot different compared to Bryce Young with Deontay Johnson. And I'm not putting that solely on Deontay Johnson's shoulders. However, the offense looked like it was a little more open because the distribution of the football was a lot different. So, we saw Jalen Coker get a lot more involved early on in the game. Xavier Legette, he had the touchdown, also had the bomb like we just discussed that resulted in an interception. However, that could have been a huge chunk play that I don't believe that we would have seen with Deontay Johnson in that wide receiver room still. So again, I'm not gonna say that as though it's a bad thing or a good thing. The only thing I'm saying is it looked different. And you got the opportunity to see guys like David Moore and Jalen Coker and XL and even Jatavion Sanders, who led the team in receiving yards, if I'm not mistaken. You got to see those guys and get a couple more opportunities than we saw within the first 2 weeks where Bryce Young was the starter. So I will say that. For sure.
And this is something that we kind of like, I don't know if we butted heads over it, but it was kind of a discussion when Deontay Johnson came out and was like, oh, like, I'm going to be kind of like the X receiver. Like, I'm going to be the first option every play.
Yeah.
Do you think that, that kind of like put a stint in the way Bryce was playing to start with, being that you just made that previous comment? Like, now looking back on it, is that something that, like, you feel like should have been said or something that should have been established even by the coaching staff with a young quarterback like Bryce Young? Like, hey, every play, this needs to be your first read no matter what.
I think it's possible. I mean, just because there's a added sense of pressure to that. Just especially when you look at the guy's history. And this is, again, I'm not shitting on Deontay Johnson any possible way. Y'all know I was championing for him to get his bread. Y'all know how I feel about him. I think he's a great receiver. I think that a lot of people will say that he would only be a wide receiver one on Carolina. I don't believe that. I think his route running is impeccable, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. However, to kind of acknowledge your point, I do think there was a certain sense of pressure there. I do. When you're a new coaching staff and you're trying to install a new offense and you're coming just with completely different ideology than what a second-year quarterback is used to from rookie year to second year, like, yeah, I think that could have stunted his growth a little bit. I think that some of the struggles that we saw earlier on in the year could have been rooted in that. However, I don't know how much, like, if we have a pie and we're saying, okay, distribute this percentage-wise, I don't know how significant that would be. I think, honestly, if you want me to be completely honest, I believe that the time spent on the sideline watching Andy Dalton and getting more mental reps, I think it did him some good. I'm not gonna lie to you. I really, really do. But I don't know. I don't know. How do you feel about it? I mean, because I know how you feel about Deontay, but if we're just talking about just foundationally, if you felt like it stunted his growth, how do you feel about it? Because that's a great question. That's a phenomenal question, because I think that there is added pressure to that.
Yeah.
It's just like, not to cut you off, I'm going to come right to you, but it's just like what we're seeing currently with Dallas. And I'm only using y'all as an example just because CeeDee Lamb has been the main receiver that I've seen this year complaining about targets and the offense not clicking and things like that. But if you watch Cowboys football and you're just familiar with the NFL, we've seen Dak Prescott get put in a lot of shit situations because he feels like he has to force feed CeeDee Lamb. So to answer your question, I think to a certain degree, absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm a little torn in between the two because, one, we seen Andy be able to make it work phenomenally with Deontay Johnson, when he first took over the starting job. But that could be simply because Andy's a veteran quarterback, and, I mean, that's not any really added pressure for him. And that's something that he's done throughout his career with A.J. Green and things of that sort. But I think it could be a little insane of a statement to make when it comes to a second-year quarterback like Bryce, who has such of a, like, subpar, below subpar rookie year that he had, to be like, hey, you need to be looking at this guy as soon as the ball is snapped. One, because if even just playing football, and then especially in the NFL, like, it might look like plays are taking a long time on the screen, but plays aren't really that long in theory. And so it's like, if you're taking your time to focus on one receiver to, like, start the play off, then it kind of, like, slows shit down when you have to kind of go through your progressions and look for other guys, because realistically, I mean, one receiver, just one guy is not going to be the primary receiver on every formation and every set. Yeah. So,
but also to kind of play devil's advocate just on that whole topic, that was the main complaint as it pertained to Bryce Young, was the fact that he didn't have a wide receiver one. So we went and got you a wide receiver one, and now our play our playbook, our scheme, everything is going to be ran through this wide receiver one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you can go and get a wide receiver one, but still not necessarily be like, this is the guy you need to look for first on every play, because that wide receiver one can shake things up with the defense. Because now if you have a true wide receiver one, then you have a guy that defenses like have to account for even more than certain other guys. So having a wide receiver one can really allow the other guys to be more open throughout the field and, give them time to go through their routes and things like that. So I think that, going to get them a wide receiver one definitely is needed, but at the same time, it's like you can still do that without making him focus on that one guy, because it opens the playbook up for other guys to shine like Excel and Jalen Coker.
Yeah, for sure. You have something to add, or you good?
No, I'm good on that one.
Okay, bet.
Yeah, I don't really want to touch on Deontay too much since he's not really there
Not
anymore.
here anymore. Understood. 16 and 26, 171 yards, a touchdown, and an interception for Bryce. 15 carries for 72 yards and 2 touchdowns for Chuba. I just want to say this, and I know that I've said this multiple times throughout this season, win, lose, or draw. Chuba Hubbard is one of the best running backs in the NFL. Like, honestly, at this point, to me, it's not even really a conversation. It's not even really a conversation, bro. Like, when you discuss the top 5, 6, 7 running backs, Chuba Hubbard's name needs to be on that list. When you say Derrick Henry and Saquon and JT and all them niggas, yeah, I'm at that point. And my producer is making a crazy face.
Yeah, because you said Derrick Henry and Saquon just started out, and Derrick Henry already hit 1,000 yards on the season, and I just watched Saquon jump over backwards somebody in a game.
That's phenomenal. But so we're gonna say that they're top 2 in the NFL.
I would say
right
they're
now.
in their own tier, and then you can say everybody else, and you can throw Chuba in that next tier.
Okay.
But leave them alone.
Okay, cool. So
for the validity of the podcast, please leave them alone.
Okay, I'm sorry, Jonathan Taylor. Alvin Kamara,
Joe Mixon,
Bijan, guys like
Chuba.
that.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay,
that sounds much better.
But either way, the point is still made that Chuba Hubbard is one of the best running backs in the NFL. Right?
Correct. One of the better running backs in the NFL, yeah.
No. Not one of the better. One of the best.
Yeah, he's in the upper echelon for sure.
4.8 yards to carry for him. And I was correct. Jatavion Sanders did lead us in receiving yards with that big play down the sideline. That was huge. For what? What were you about to say?
I was just going to say, can we roll the clip back when I said Jatavion Sanders is probably the best draft pick out of this draft?
Did we agree on that?
I don't know. I mean, being that you were so happy we took Jonathan Brooks, I would have imagined that we probably didn't.
I think I said Trevin Wallace. I think I said Trevin Wallace was going to have the most impact on the team. But cool. Jalen Coker with 2 catches for 36 yards. XL 4 catches, 33 yards, and that touchdown. Like we mentioned, I mean, really good to see all of those young guys getting involved. If you look at the top 3 receivers for the Carolina Panthers, all rookies. Also, Jonathan Mingo.
Time to have that conversation.
Unfortunately.
I mean, it
Unfortunately.
was being time for me.
Yeah. I don't know. I honestly don't know what is not clicking for him. I really don't, but it's nasty, bro. It's nasty. Like, for you, every single week we have to look at the stat sheet and that shit says 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 for Jonathan Mingo. That just should not be happening.
He's not winning. He's not winning his routes.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. He's not. And I thought that was something that he would be able to overcome just based on his size, but obviously not. It's nasty. It's nasty, and if we have more time, which, I mean, we do have time, but we're just going to focus on this game in particular. But as the season gets a little bit deeper and we start talking about what needs to change and what needs to happen, we have to have a real discourse about Jonathan Mingo. We do. Because there's just simply no way that I can expect an undrafted free agent in Jalen Coker to outperform a fucking, 4, 5, 6 year guy that has just hopped team to team, and David Moore pretty much just had ridden Dave Canales' dick for the duration of his career, with all due respect. to outperform you. Like it's just simply no way. There's just simply no way, and it's very, very frustrating again because when you see rumors start to swirl around Adam Thielen potentially being moved, you have to look at the future and you have to look at what this room potentially looks like after this season. You have to. And with Jonathan Mingo not taking that step in his development this year, with him doing everything he did in training camp and then not producing at all on the field, is very frustrating. It really is. It's very frustrating and it's nasty. It's nasty.
I believe they're probably already having those conversations in the front office. About
in-house, absolutely. I just don't want to have them here.
I think it's a very simple solution. I mean, it doesn't even have to spend a lot of time. It's just very simple.
Yeah, I mean, you either trade them or you cut them. That's my solution.
I don't think you get shit for them.
I don't think so either.
You're saying you cut them?
Yeah, but you got to, you finish the season.
Yeah.
You got to finish the season with them because you don't have shit else.
Yeah, his time in Carolina is probably coming to an end.
Yeah.
Because the regime that brought him in, no longer in power. I don't know the coaching staff. I don't know how many advocates he still has on, within the Carolina Panthers organization.
Yeah, and
if he's not performing.
I don't see this team making the same mistake it made with TMJ.
And when you got the ball in your hands, the Saints game, you dicked it off.
Because week one, he looked all right. Week one, when the ball got in his hands, he looked all right. But then, like you said, he gave the bitch up. So, it's kind of like you didn't even look all right at that point. So, it's just, it's frustrating as hell to me, especially if you watch FPFO consistently or you listen consistently. Y'all know how hard I've gone for Jonathan Mingo. Like, through everybody, over everybody, because the fan base has completely turned against him and has for some time now, if we're just being 100% transparent. So, it's very, very frustrating. It's nasty, bro. It's nasty. But, he's one of those guys that'll probably get clipped or whatever the case may be, and he'll go somewhere else and start cooking. So, who knows? Damani Richardson, yet again, 12 tackles, leading the team in tackles. That's another guy who I talked a lot about in training camp because there was like 3 or 4 days in a row where he ended up with an interception. He got the interception week 1 against the Saints, I believe it was. Or was that may have actually been preseason. That was actually preseason. My apologies. Long story less long, Damani Richardson is a dog. There's no way, again, that we should be paying the money that we're paying to a guy like Jordan Fuller, and we have a guy in the room like Damani Richardson that's ready to go.
Jordan Fuller ain't even been playing, has he?
No, he hasn't. But that's my point. It's been him and X back there. So cool. So Jordan Fuller, appreciate your services as well. Matter of fact, it's too early to start. It's too early to start cutting niggas
because
like
how
that.
many games has he played? It hasn't been a lot, but he's been injured, right?
Who that? Jordan Fuller?
Yeah.
I think he played the first 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe 3.
Yeah, so we don't really know.
Because I think he got hurt after Vegas.
So we don't really know what,
All I know is the past 2 weeks, Damani Richardson has led us in tackles. And I've seen him jump off the screen literally every single game he started and played. So that alone is enough for me to move on from a nigga that wasn't on shit and that was having miscommunication problems and that was getting burnt over top of his zone. So, yeah, that's enough for me. It doesn't take much, bro. We're the Panthers. It doesn't take much. It doesn't. I'm not going to lie. Nick Thurman had 6, 1 TFL. Charles Harris, 6. Why are you laughing, bro? He had a hell of a game. 6 tackles, 2 TFLs, a sack. Shout out to Charles Harris. Round of applause for you, cuz I'm not going to lie.
That's insane.
Well, why? I'm just saying he had a hell of a game.
Do you not remember what you said in the group? Like,
what, yesterday? Yesterday?
Yeah.
What did I say?
That he was fucking sorry.
He is. And I was off that shit too. I ain't gonna lie. I was off that Widow Jane yesterday, so that probably played a part in it for sure. But shout out to him. Had a hell of a game.
He's a guy that we just can't keep, unfortunately.
Yeah, he doesn't do enough. He doesn't do enough. Shout out to Mike Jackson too, again. Simple.
Still go get another corner somewhere.
Yes, still go get another corner somewhere. But Dave Canales did say on Monday afternoon that at this very time Mike Jackson would remain the team's cornerback number 2. So, yeah. Also, I seen a crazy stat. I don't know the validity of this, but I'm going to say it just because it seems believable. With J.C. Horn and Mike Jackson as primary defenders yesterday or Sunday afternoon against the New Orleans Saints, the Saints completed 0 passes with J.C. Horn and Mike Jackson as the primary defenders. That's very promising.
Because I seen most of Chris Olave, he got stretched when they tried to throw it to him.
Pick your mans up.
Yeah.
Pick them up. Last week, we can't joke like that because they had to take him to the hospital, didn't they? But when we say crash out and stretch something, that for me personally, that's the shit that I mean. Defense was all, matter of fact, my fault. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was about to say most of their yardage and stuff came from Alvin Kamara. He had 155 yards on the ground. A couple big plays from Jawan Johnson. Yeah, I mean,
Taysom
Hill. I don't really.
AK was the main culprit for everything they got yardage wise. The first quarter, I was telling Tavian, the first quarter he had 66 yards, maybe even 70 yards in the first quarter on the ground.
I mean, the first play he popped that hole for 10, 15 easy.
Yeah. And then he had that big play. I believe what was it? Fourth quarter when we watched back. When we had Derek Carr wrapped up for a sack and we missed it. Yeah, that was the fourth quarter. He took that shit for 35, 40 yards. Yeah, I mean that was a bulk of their yardage came from Alvin Kamara yesterday. Actually, let's go look at their stats real quick.
I was about to say
because that was a game where the Saints definitely outgamed the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, they dominated.
They dominated every facet of the game, and I think that's important for people to realize, while the Panthers did win the game, they were also outgained by the Saints for 150 yards in total offense. The Saints ran for 150 yards plus. The Saints won the turnover battle, and up to this point, the last 20 years in the NFL, teams with that recipe were 275-0. Now 275-1.
Yeah. We'll look at team stats very, very quick since that's where we went. Time of possession, 34 minutes to 25 minutes. All of these, let me make sure before I say it. All of these are advantage Saints. Everything that I'm about to say literally is advantage Saints. Time of possession, 34 minutes to 25 minutes. Total yards, 427 to 246. Passing yards, 230 to 166. Rushing yards, 197 to 80. First downs, 25 to 15. Penalties, 10 to 6. Advantage Carolina. We had 6. They had 10. Turnovers, we had 1. They had 0. Sacks, dead even at 1 apiece. And total plays, 74 to 50. All advantage Saints, except for penalties. So that to me, that's a good and a bad thing. Because that's extremely resilient. And like I said, when the game was on the line, the defense came up with 2 huge stops. The offense touched the ball twice in the last 7.5 minutes of the game. That's something that, even me and Tavian, like I said, when we were watching film earlier today, we even talked about that. Like, at this point in the game, based on what I've seen with the Carolina Panthers, it would have been over right here. My thought process while I was watching the game live, this shit is a wrap. It's over with right here when they get the big 20, 25-yard gain to start their final possession off. You know what I'm saying? But the defense came up big, and we talked about that. This is one of the things that we mentioned specifically over the first 2 to 4 weeks of the season, where defense was giving up a lot of yardage. The Cincinnati game is one of the games that sticks out. The Chargers game is another game because if y'all remember, we had 2 fumble recoveries that Charger game, and J.C. Horn had the interception as well. Forced 3 turnovers, yet we were still only able to put up 6 points. And that was kind of why we were extremely frustrated. I'll speak for myself. One of the reasons why I was extremely frustrated with Bryce Young and the performance of the offense was because, we saw that this defense was going to be mid. We knew this defense was going to be mid. However, the defense was still making plays to have you in a position to win the football game. Same thing with the Atlanta Falcons game. If you look back 2 or 3 weeks ago, Bijan and Algier went crazy, rushing for 200 yards apiece. But when it's all said and done with, I don't even know what was in the third quarter, we still are within 1 possession. And if we don't have that interception from Andy Dalton, that game looks completely different. And Kirk Cousins has to walk the ball down multiple times and finish the drive for us to completely get put in a box. So I will commend the defense for that because that's been a loud conversation within the fan base too around Ejiro Evero, his future with the team, and just his defense as a whole. When you look at this defense and you look at the amount of injuries, I mean, that's all I'll say. They got the job done yesterday. They got the job done on Sunday. Because you can look at it, I say that, but then you can also go look at games like Chicago. You can also go look at games like
Washington.
Yes. And it's just completely different and completely nasty. But what I want to say is just stop writing a book so fast on coaches in particular. And I think, unfortunately, like just based off our situation over the last 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons, we've had to do that. Because we become so jaded to like any coach that we don't want to give them time to build just based on what we've experienced over the past couple of years. Everything has to be fast. It has to be a quick fix. That's why I kind of feel the way I do about Canales. I believe in Canales. I believe what Canales sells. Now, when he gets in that press conference, he says some dumbass shit sometimes. I think he be playing media games when he be talking about he doesn't know who's starting this week, this and that, this and that. I don't know if it's for the opposing team or what, but Monday afternoon, he says that they don't know who's starting. I, for the life of me, don't understand that. I don't get that. I don't understand it. There's no way that you look at the performance that Bryce Young had on Sunday, coming off of a win, and you come back the following day and say, we don't know who's starting Bryce Young or Andy Dalton. We've discussed so many times on this podcast, and I want to hear y'all's opinions on this as well. Just since we'll just go into this topic since we're here. Damn, I lost my fucking train of thought.
Was it about to be? Should Bryce Young continue to be the starter?
Yeah, I mean, because we had this conversation last week. Like, I don't know how you look at what he did yesterday. Look at the situation in totality, because this has always been my stance, and I'm going to re-emphasize it for anybody that's watching that's new and hasn't listened consistently. It is in the Carolina Panthers' best interest, as well as the fan base, the front office, the coaching staff, the players, and everybody in between. It is in their best interest for Bryce Young to work out. I mean, it's very, 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 very simple. Because if you don't, you're just left with your dick in your hand.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fairly obvious that, he does, like, he should start the remainder of the season because, like we said last week, and I don't want to keep, like, hammering home about it, but it's like you have nothing to lose at this point. I mean, you're not going to make the playoffs. You're a bad team. The only thing that could come out of this situation is just seeing the potential that Bryce could have going forward, and then that kind of leads you into a decision within next year and the next 2 years on what you want to do at quarterback. So it doesn't do anything but help you in the long run. And I think, like, the reason why he's saying that he doesn't know up to this far is because I think that the Panthers PR team is just fucking trash. One, the reason I say that is because you just tell so many different stories, starting with Andy. He got in a car accident with his family, okay, but he sprained his thumb on his non-dominant hand. So it's just like, I mean, he lost like 3 games up in a row up
like
until
3 or 4, yep.
Yeah, so it's like, and then he sprains his thumb on his non-dominant hand. Me personally, I feel like wasn't that serious of an injury for him to like sit out or anything like that.
Agreed. And
then you come back, and then Bryce plays the way he does, and then it's a sprained thumb. So obviously we know Andy will be able to play the next game, which was what, the Broncos game, if I'm not mistaken? Or was the Broncos game the first game?
The Broncos game was the first game, so the next game was last week, was New Orleans Saints.
Okay, but then you have Andy like telling the media like that he'll be
good to go.
Yeah, I'm good to go and shit like that. And then, like, I had told y'all in the group, when he was walking up through the tunnel, like, the nigga was limping and shit, looking like he was fucking hurt. So I'm just like, all of this shit just looks so fucking dumb. And then now you have Dave Canales saying, like, I don't know who's going to start, because you thrown the media all different types of ways with, like, people not knowing what to say at the right time, like, people not knowing how to carry themselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
no,
like,
perfect sense.
It's just stupid. It's just dumb as fuck.
And to be honest, just to add context, I'll come right to you. I don't know if it's a PR thing. I don't know. At the beginning of the season, I felt like everybody was on the same page as it pertains to Canales, Tepper, and Morgan. Right now, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if everybody's on the same page right now. I really don't. So I think when we hear some of these answers from Dave Canales, I believe we're seeing a little bit of influence from Dan Morgan as well as Dave Tepper. That's just my theory. I don't know. I can't prove it, but I don't know if Dave Canales is in as much control as we may have thought at the beginning of the season. I really don't. But go ahead.
Yeah, I think there's many variables at play. And to your point about everybody being on the same page, I think it's hard to consistently stay on the same page as Dave Tepper with how volatile his decision-making can be. So I think you have that aspect of it, but I think you also have the aspect of at the time when Bryce Young got benched, it was 100% the right decision. Bryce Young was playing horrible. He needed to sit down and he needed to watch a veteran quarterback at work in a live game, taking live bullets, and he just needed to sit back and watch and see how the job is actually done. I think that part was correct. I think that was handled correctly. I think now what you'll see, I believe the Carolina Panthers should go ahead and promote Bryce back to the starter now that he's sat down. You can clearly see that he's gained a little bit of confidence in that time that he spent sitting on the bench. He made some really nice throws yesterday. He stepped up in some big-time moments. You can see a little bit of that Alabama swagger that he had. You kind of saw a little bit of that coming back. And I think now is the time because there is no future with Andy Dalton. Realistically, like Andy Dalton maybe has 2, maybe 3 years left in the NFL.
That's a stretch.
And that's a big stretch. And as far as quality football goes, even less than that. You go ahead and you promote Bryce back to the starter and you make another right decision and seeing what he has for the duration of the season. You benched him at the right time. Now it's time to make another right decision and promote him back.
Yeah. And I mean, not the front office not being on the same page. I mean, we've seen this for over the last how many years? So it's not really surprising.
Since bro has been here.
And I think the Canales thing might be a little bit of gamesmanship. Just in
I think
being
so
like,
too.
We'll see. Andy might be the starter. Bryce might be the starter, just to give Brian Dable and the New York Giants a little something to chew on, a little something extra to think about when doing game prep. Prep for 2 quarterbacks, not just one.
Very true, because we saw that happen with during Vegas week as well when they asked Antonio Pierce, and he was just like, Who's starting? And they were like, Andy Dalton. He was just completely shocked. So that definitely could, play a factor in it. But, at this point, re-emphasizing what we said last week, Bryce Young should be the starter for the remainder of the year. You're playing for nothing. You have absolutely nothing to prove to anybody at this point. You're sitting at 2-7. Things aren't going to change overnight. And the only way that this franchise has a plan for the future is if Bryce Young works out, or we'll be looking at yet another shit product as it pertains to next year and potentially even the following year, where you would have to restart the process completely over with a rookie quarterback either in 2025 or 2026. You already pushed all your chips to the middle of the table, bro. You already did it. You already pushed all your chips to the middle of the table. So far up to this point, it just simply has not worked out. It just simply has not worked out. The best thing you can do at this point is to just ride it out with Bryce Young and pray to God that what we saw on Sunday is just a microcosm of what we'll see going forward. That's all you can do.
Yeah, I have a question for both of you. Kind of switching directions, but not really. I guess me and you kind of talked about this a little bit, but not really. We didn't really dive into it. But I guess seeing how all of the top quarterbacks that were drafted in that draft class with Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, obviously, I mean, if you just watch football, there's been a regression. You can say because of the offensive lines, injuries there, injuries to his receivers. Anthony Richardson has obviously just been benched. Will Levis looks like dog shit, as he always has. Does anything change in regards to what we seen from Bryce, like, his first year? Like, I don't know how to put it into words, but do you know what I'm getting at? Does anything change for you in regards to how we viewed him? Because, one, I was listening to something that Tom Brady was saying. I forgot exactly how he said it, that, like, now it's like the coaches now in the front office, they don't really care that much about quarterback development as much as they used to, because now so many coaches are fighting for their jobs. Like, all coaches are on, like, this.
About that on First Take as well.
Yeah, like, they're all on this short, like, leash and shit that it's, like, hard for them to buy in on one guy. So taking all of that into account, do you have any kind of different thoughts? Because I know that first year we were critical as fuck of Bryce just because, like, he looked like bullshit.
Compared to his peers.
Yeah, exactly. So do you, like, what's your thoughts on that, both of you?
That's a great question.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal question.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Can I take this?
Sure.
I do, yeah, because I know exactly what you're talking about. And I think that the thought process with Bryce Young is it should be mutually, it should be exclusive. The evaluation of Bryce Young should just be solely based on the evaluation of Bryce Young. Is Bryce Young a competent quarterback? Is Bryce Young a good quarterback in the NFL? Not is Bryce Young stacking up to C.J. Stroud. Not is Bryce Young stacking up to Anthony Richardson. I'm not even going to say Will Levis because I never thought Will Levis deserved to be in that competition or conversation. But what you're clearly seeing is that it's not one quarterback is not the solution. Like, unless you have a guy that is named like Patrick Mahomes, and even Patrick Mahomes doesn't do it by himself, contrary to popular belief. The Chiefs have a great defense. The Chiefs have a pretty decent O-line that holds a lot. That gets away with it.
He's been average this year.
Right, but he wins games. Josh Allen, same story. Can't do it alone. Lamar Jackson, they had to go get him a Deontay Johnson. They had to go get him a Derrick Henry.
They didn't have to go get him a Deontay
he's
Johnson.
not.
But go ahead.
For like the Super Bowl, like for what the ultimate goal is for these teams is the Super Bowl.
Sure.
So what you're seeing is like, I think it's kind of more of a, you have to look at it in the light of, is Bryce Young developing properly as a quarterback? Not is he stacking up to C.J. Stroud? Because C.J. Stroud has looked relatively pedestrian when he doesn't get protected, when he doesn't have the receivers to throw it to, because they don't have a Nico Collins right now. They don't have a Stephon Diggs right now. The offensive line is looking like the Panthers, similar to the Panthers' offensive line last year, and C.J. Stroud looks very pedestrian. Anthony Richardson can't seem to read a defense. It's the weirdest thing. Well, it's not weird. He has no experience playing quarterback. So you have to just judge Bryce. Is Bryce Young going to develop properly with the Carolina Panthers?
Yeah, and before you go, yeah, and I understand. I believe that, and I think that is true, but I've heard you say numerous of times, and I don't know if you were on this train as well, but just thinking back, like you said that unfortunately he's going to have to be measured up to C.J. Stroud because he was taking over C.J. Stroud, especially when they were kind of like, it was like picking one or the other. And then I don't know if those other quarterbacks like a Josh Allen, like a Patrick Mahomes, like a Lamar Jackson were in the same rookie class as a quarterback who played like C.J. Stroud did his rookie year because he was in the MVP conversation. And so I don't know if it's like those things are different because they didn't have to measure up to something like that. And so based off like what you were saying, like unfortunately – he has to be compared to C.J. Stroud because he's never going to escape that because he was drafted over him, and C.J. Stroud looked like an MVP caliber quarterback his rookie year. So I guess what's your thoughts?
I mean, I think at this point, like just speaking on those two guys specifically, at this point, like the rookie years are over. So now it's just like, yeah, Bryce is always going to be tied to C.J. Stroud because he was taking number one and Stroud was taking number two. But if we're talking about kind of how the overarching view of things is going to be, you're not really judging those guys anymore based on their draft class, in my opinion. You're not going to be looking at it like that until both guys' careers are over. So now you're going to be looking at what they're presenting to you on a week-to-week basis. So I agree with Tavian in the thinking and kind of the ideology that now it's just you versus you. At this point or another, like, can Bryce Young be the best version of Bryce Young for the Carolina Panthers? And not so much can Bryce Young be better than C.J. Stroud or is C.J. Stroud better than Bryce Young just because the situation has changed so much. I think that C.J. Stroud's point has been proven already. I think that C.J. Stroud is a better quarterback overall than Bryce Young. I think that we learned that their rookie years, and I think that conversation is over now. But it still also makes it very, very difficult when you have a guy like a Jaden Daniels that's completely abusing the league, that's in the MVP conversation yet again. So Bryce, in my opinion, he's always going to have that tag kind of on his career, honestly, because you look at some of the quarterbacks, and I know that, like you mentioned, Will Levis and Anthony Richardson, as well as C.J. Stroud, those guys aren't performing to the level of a top 10 or 15 pick. But unfortunately, Bryce is always going to be tied to somebody. Even, again, you look at Jaden Daniels. Like, people will say that the Carolina Panthers should have waited to get a quarterback because Jaden Daniels is this phenomenon right now, right? So that's always going to be the conversation. But I do agree with Tavian's thinking that right now it's Bryce against Bryce. It really, really is. And I think as fans, like, we're doing ourselves a disservice if we continue to compare him as well. That's why I don't know if y'all have, like, noticed, but I haven't said really shit about C.J. Stroud this year. And it's not because of the downfall, and it's not because he looks regular. It's just because, like, bro, okay, cool. Last year was last year. And at this point, the Carolina Panthers' best interest. And I said this, I said this all the way, even if you go back and listen last year. The frustration for me was the Carolina Panthers traded away their future, traded away all of these assets, traded away all of this leverage and capital to go get this guy that was supposed to transform and change the outlook of the Carolina Panthers as a whole, and he just simply didn't have the ability to do it. It was always about the Carolina Panthers for me personally, and not so much as it was about Bryce Young. Bryce Young, for me, just continued to get attacked because it was just frustration from the performance of the team as a whole. But if we continue to see Bryce Young develop over time and you have the opportunity to put weapons around him, whether it be through the draft, through the deadline, through free agency, and he does continue to develop over time and he wins, a couple of divisional championships or whatever the case may be, like, we're going to look at the situation different. We really are. So right now, in my opinion, it's really just about the development of Bryce. It's about the development of Bryce. I do not believe that Bryce Young will be traded by 4 p.m. on November 5th. By the trade deadline, I don't believe that we'll see Bryce Young traded for anything. I think that he will be a Carolina Panther. I don't believe that we'll see Bryce Young switching teams or anything like that over the offseason. I think that once the Carolina Panthers came out a week and a half, 2 weeks ago and said that we're not considering trading Bryce Young anymore, that was kind of the end of the whole speculation that he wouldn't be a Panther going into 2025. I think no matter what the decision is in the draft come April, I think we'll still see Bryce Young as a quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. He may not be the quarterback for the Carolina Panthers, but he will still be on this roster. He will still be on this roster. So at this point, it's just about his development, bro. It really, really is. So that's why I haven't really gone that crazy and that hard, while we haven't discussed any of those other quarterbacks from that class. Jaden Daniels, he's gotten mentioned a couple of times up here, but it really hasn't been that comparison because if you keep comparing, you're just going to get frustrated if you do it.
Comparison is a thief of joy.
Yeah, 1,000%. 1,000%.
Just because this is where that question took me, like this is where that question and your answer kind of took me in my thought process is, I see an issue when I look around the NFL today, and there is kind of a void of quarterback talent in the sense of, like, we grew up in a time when you had a Big Ben, you had an Eli Manning, you had a Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre. We caught the tail end of his career. Peyton Manning. All Phillip Rivers, Tony Romo.
Crazy talent.
Like, you have all these quarterbacks, and I know people are going to come at me for naming Phillip Rivers and Tony Romo, but these guys were phenomenal quarterbacks in their time.
Yeah.
And we grew up in that era where you see these guys, but a lot of those guys that I just named had time to develop. They didn't come into the league and they were Peyton Manning. They didn't come into the league and they were Tom Brady. They didn't come into the league. Drew Brees got traded before he got to the Saints and became, the truth.
Drew Brees, right?
Right. So, like, it's that we live in a
Same
a
thing
society.
with Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre for X amount of years, came in and cooked. We live in a society where everybody wants that instant payoff because you do have an example of a C.J. Stroud, of a Jaden Daniels, guys that come in and boom. Even, RG3 came in and boomed his first year, but he tailed off. He fell off. Like, you got to give these guys time. We don't give people time in the same sense you don't give the coaches time to develop. We don't really give these players time to develop properly either.
Yeah, and it's an NFL problem.
It is.
I think Cam Newton did a phenomenal job, and this isn't me dick eating. Like, this is just from a context standpoint. Cam Newton did a very, very good job at vocalizing exactly what you're saying, just more in depth. I think on either Thursday or Friday of last week when they were talking about the Anthony Richardson situation and how he got benched last week. Cam Newton did a phenomenal job, and it really was just hammering home the point that you just made that the NFL has a problem right now. The NFL has a problem right now because if this nigga is my quarterback and I'm Dave Canales and I'm coming in and I know how hot-headed this owner is and how short of a leash he's given every head coach that he's brought on, whether it be soccer or NFL, unfortunately, bruh, I may believe in you, and I may believe that I can work with you and develop you and craft you into what I want you to be. However, if me putting you out there on Sunday afternoons is going to potentially cost me my job and take food out of my family's mouth,
I can't do it.
I just simply can't do it. Because if he got to go or I got to go, it's unfortunate because I love the nigga, but it got to be him. So I think the NFL just has a deeper, darker problem than what the average fan may be looking at when you just look at this situation as a whole.
It goes back to money. Like all it boils down to.
Money and accountability. Yeah. I think the NFL legitimately has an accountability issue top to bottom. There's an accountability issue with teams on the field. There's an accountability issue in the front offices. There's accountability issues with the coaching staff. Like, there's accountability issues that I see up and down the NFL. Up and down. You see it everywhere. It's ridiculous.
And so, like I said, it's a deeper, darker conversation. But it also speaks to the era that we're in, too. I say it all the time, and y'all know it's a microwavable era, bro. Everybody wants shit. Yep. Yeah, everybody wants shit right there and right there. Like you just mentioned. I mean, you just mentioned some of the greatest quarterbacks that NFL historians will tell you are some of the greatest quarterbacks that we've seen in the game. All of those guys had time to develop, sit behind somebody, and kind of get ushered into being the phenomenons that they became to be. Right now, you don't have guys like that. None of these guys are having the opportunity to develop. Only guy I can think of off the top of my head is Jordan Love. That's the only guy off the top of my head that I can think of. Lamar, drafted, get your ass on the field.
Patrick Mahomes, he had time.
Pat had time, too.
And you see where he's at.
I was about to say, but you see exactly how it kind of plays out. And that's not to say every quarterback that comes out is going to be Patrick Mahomes, because that's just simply not the case. To me, the nigga is the GOAT.
But it gives them some benefit when they are able to sit back
and learn and watch and develop.
Learn how to be a professional. And I think that actually is like spot on. The problem right there is because you bring these guys in and they have issues as rookies and they make mistakes. They have tendencies that have to be broken to be successful quarterbacks in the NFL. However, when you just go ahead and throw them into the fire like that, You can learn by live bullets. It takes a very special type of person to be able to do so. Most people need to sit back and watch. And you got these guys, you throw them in there, and then they never get these bad tendencies out of their system because it may work for them occasionally. So they may learn to, continue to do this thing that's not really going to lead to long-term success in the NFL, which is, I believe, the problem right there.
Yeah,
and you're dealing with kids.
Yes.
I mean, at the end of the day, bro, like these niggas are fucking coming out and they're 21, 22 years old. Like, you look at, how old is Bryce? 22? He just turned 22 if I'm not mistaken.
Something like that.
Bro, that's young as fuck. And you're telling me, cool, so now I'm going to give you a pocket full of money, but with that, I'm going to place the world, I'm going to place the troubles of the world on your shoulders.
Yeah, and
you have to save us.
And it doesn't help when you have owners who don't really know much about football, i.e. Dave Tepper, telling everybody that they're a quarterback away. So it's like now you have this $1 billion franchise that you have to fucking come in and fix like that when, we really know deep down inside you're not going to be able to fix it. But, we told everybody this. We told all the fans this. So now everybody who's cheering for us, who's putting money in our pockets, are expecting you to be some kind of fix that deep down inside we know is deeper than that.
Yes.
So I think we went on a long tangent there, but like moral of this story is Bryce Young needs time to develop within the Panthers organization, and everybody kind of needs to chill out and give him that time to properly develop. Now, if we're still having this conversation 1 or 2 years from now, that's when all right, it's time to go.
If we're having this conversation come week 6 or week 7 next year, it's a problem.
Yeah, because then you got to start paying quarterbacks. Like, most quarterbacks are gonna want some kind of bag especially when they're coming out of their rookie contract. Like in that third year, Like,
Yeah, like what was Trev? What did Trev? Trev got paid year 3?
Yeah,
or after year
4.
2.
I think he got paid. I think it's year 4.
Year 4?
I believe so.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, it's going to be about that time.
Yeah.
To start having the conversation at the very, very least. To start having the conversation, but I mean, transparently,
He has to develop
Bryce Young
a lot.
doesn't have a leg to stand on right
Say,
now.
he's gonna have to develop a lot to even have that conversation. But
Right.
we got to see him develop. We got to see him to continue to take steps in the right direction. I think last week's game was a very positive sign.
Yeah.
Also, I forgot Bryce Young knew how to throw the ball downfield. I didn't know
he tried it a couple times.
And
he
it
tried
looked good.
and it looked halfway decent.
It looked good.
It looked halfway decent. I still don't know. I still don't know if Bryce Young is the franchise quarterback that I personally would prefer. Just based on personality, based on what I see him at. Like, I was talking to Tavian earlier, and I was just like, bro, I just see this nigga as a little kid, bro. Like, honestly. And I don't think I'm sure that stature plays a part in it. I'm sure it does. But it's just really everything about him. Like, it's everything about him, and that's kind of where my frustration comes in. But if he can develop and he can play well enough for the Carolina Panthers to win football games, then so be it.
He has to grow up.
Then so be it. Yeah, I mean, he
grow
does.
up.
He does. 1,000%. 1,000%. Go. One of y'all go. I don't care who. Somebody go.
All right, I think I got mine. So mine is should be.
Did you win last week?
No.
Did you win last week?
The Cowboys fucked it off.
Yeah, I don't think I win. Who did I say got dick me over?
Somebody, you ain't win.
The Texans dig me over. The one time I bet, all the weeks leading up, I had been betting on the Jets, and the one week I decided to bet against them. They feel like winning. So cool. Fuck them.
All right, I'll go ahead and get mine out of the way. So this is plus 850. I'm usually somewhere in the thousands, but I decided to tone it down to see if I can get a win on the board again. So I have Baltimore Ravens money line against Cincinnati. In Baltimore, I have Minnesota money line against Jacksonville. I have Ole Miss covering the 7.5 spread against Georgia. That's going to be a tough one. But Georgia hasn't looked like shit to me. Clemson beating Virginia Tech. Didn't they just lost to somebody?
They just got blown out by South Carolina, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
So I mean, it wasn't by South Carolina. It was it by Louisville?
Yes, Louisville. Yes.
Yeah. So they got to rewrite their wrongs. I have Iowa State beating Kansas, and I have the Bears beating New England. So that's plus 850. That's a 6-leg. I mean, I should win that one.
Tavian?
Yeah, I went plus 657. I'm still keeping it low. I'm trying to rack up these wins here as the season's dwindling down. I'm taking the Baltimore Ravens money line. I'm taking the Buffalo Bills money line. I'm taking the Minnesota Vikings money line, Kansas City Chiefs money line, Atlanta Falcons money line, and the San Francisco 49ers money line. That's all you need to know. They all got some very winnable games. Go ahead and lock it in. That ticket's going to hit.
Go ahead. What did you have?
He told us that last week.
I'm at the point in the season. I'm at the point in the season where I'm looking at football purely objectively. I have nothing to cheer for anymore. My hope is gone.
Good.
Trust me, this is a lock. This is a very objective opinion. Lock it in.
I'll go with mine next, and we'll finish up with Dylan. This is plus 930, 4 legs. Very simple. Very simple. Very simple. Atlanta, money line against the Saints. Atlanta will beat them by, I'm going to say, 9, 10, 11 points. I think it'll be a double-digit 2-possession game. But Atlanta money line, Bengals to cover 6.5 against the Ravens. Risky. That's where a lot of your juice is coming from. However, the Bengals offense seems to be clicking a little bit better than weeks of the past. I like them to cover 6.5. I have the Jaguars covering 4.5 against the Vikings. I think the Jaguars, they're a good football team, in my opinion. From a talent standpoint, they just have a hard time putting shit together. But I think they can cover 4.5 against the Vikings. And I have Chicago covering minus 6.5 against the New England Patriots. 4 legs. Bears minus 6.5. Jags plus 4.5. Falcons money line. Bengals plus 6.5. 4 legs plus 930. Lock it in. Get it put in ASAP. Because if you don't, the odds are liable to change, and then y'all be hitting us up talking about that 930, wanting 930, this and that. I personally don't want to hear it. Dylan has a 7-leg for 975. Both teams to score 15-plus points in the Bengals and Baltimore Ravens game. Both teams to score 20-plus points in the Giants versus Panthers. That is going to be a no. That is going to be a no. No, listen, no. I presented it wrong. So he has both teams to score 20-plus points, no. In the Panthers and Giants game. Both teams to score 15-plus points in the Bengals and Ravens game, yes. Buffalo Bills money line. Both teams to score 20-plus points in the Patriots and Bears game, no. Chargers money line, Eagles money line, and Dolphins money line. Again, 7 legs plus 975. Bro, just do me a favor and have me not say that many words on your juice tickets, big bro. Like please.
I was gonna say, that's a very interesting ticket.
I mean, but I'm not gonna lie, it looks good though. It looks good. The only thing that I'm kind of hesitant about is the Miami money line.
Who do they play?
I don't know, but it's Miami, and them niggas have not looked good to me at all this year. And I just honestly don't fuck with them.
They look halfway decent yesterday against the Bills.
They play against the Rams. Monday Night Football.
Clipped.
Yeah,
Clipped. That was a bad one. Yeah.
But I mean, I will say everything else. I would probably take that one off, me personally, and put the just make it a 6-leg. And I would probably take off the yes on both teams to score 15-plus points for the Bengals and Ravens just because it's minus 430.
What were the odds on that ticket?
Why would you risk that? Plus 975.
Okay.
I would do both teams to score 20-plus points. Yes, on the Bengals and Ravens. That'll give you more juice and that'll give you better odds. But I just can't risk a 7-leg being dicked off by a minus 430. That's just me. But what do I know? I'm still winless on the year. So if y'all would like to put my ticket in, just play with caution. And always remember to bet responsibly. And this is not financial advice by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, that's what we have. Let me check on my tickets while the music is still playing and y'all have something to listen to. Somebody is liable to dick me over. It won't be Jordan Poole. 14 points in the first half, like I thought. Perfect.
Or if App State can't get the job done,
I tried to tell you, bro.
Of course, this down.
You just gotta be careful.
Sorry, bro.
Dennis Schroeder has 3 already. Good. Cam Johnson has 3 as well. That's bad. LeBron 5. Oh yeah.
What even led you to put them on the ticket?
Yeah.
Can I ask?
What?
App State.
I mean, I had a bonus bet, so I just threw a bunch of money lines on there.
Look at this one.
Okay.
Look at this one though. I low-key might have cooked with that hoe right there. No cap. I might have cooked with that one. What you think?
Maybe.
I might have cooked with it. Everybody is tracking. Everybody is tracking really, really well. What makes you nervous? You seem hesitant. I'm not as hesitant as you are. I feel really, really good about that. That's a phenomenal
I
start.
don't know how the Lakers are getting their ass beat like that.
Well, I mean,
But that means that the starters got to play, so.
even if they don't, LeBron is only 3 assists away from getting what I need him to get. AD is going, I didn't peep that. That's going to hurt if that's going to be the only one. Oh, my God, Jaren Jackson is going to sell me. Oh, my God. Cool. Trade deadline. Let's talk about this since the trade deadline is today. The trade deadline is today at 4 p.m. Eastern time. As y'all know, the Carolina Panthers have already halted communications as it pertains to Chuba Hubbard and J.C. Horn. However, rumors and reports. Let's just talk about rumors and reports very, very briefly. Miles Sanders has been linked to conversations about the Cincinnati Bengals. Adam Thielen has been linked to conversations as it pertains to the Kansas City Chiefs. Jadeveon Clowney has been linked to conversations with multiple teams in the market for an edge rusher. How do y'all feel? The Panthers are not in buy mode, so I don't believe that we'll see a trade where the Panthers obtain a major piece. But we could see some draft capital being added to the Panthers' docket within the next couple of hours. So how do y'all feel about that? How do y'all feel about the names that I just mentioned? And just give me some feedback there, and we'll wrap up there.
Just
with our player of the game, actually, and then we'll wrap up. But my bad. Go ahead.
No, just off rip, the one that makes the most sense to me is Miles Sanders. Far and away, Miles Sanders. With Jonathan Brooks coming back, Chuba Hubbard playing the way that he's been playing. Miles Sanders, appreciate you for coming in when you did. You didn't really do too much while you were here, but, we'll go ahead and put you in Cincinnati. Hopefully you can find more success there, and we can recoup some of our investment on you. That makes perfect sense to me. The Adam Thielen one, a little bit skeptical about how much a team really wants to give up for an aging receiver coming off a hamstring injury. I don't really know how much value we'd get there.
If you're the Chiefs?
No. If you're the Panthers, what value would they have to present to you to get rid of him? Because he's still under contract for 2 more years.
Right.
So what would the Kansas City Chiefs have to offer? What would any team have to offer you to feel comfortable moving off of him? Because, what do we let Deontay go for? A 5th? A couple of slots, and we had to give up a 6th. So, what realistically is his market? Unless we're just going to be donating to the Chiefs.
Exactly, and I think that's where it comes in, because I don't know how much value you'd actually realistically be able to get from maybe a 7th.
Yeah, and to be honest, if I see that, that'll piss me the fuck off. And I'm in a halfway decent mood this week. Halfway decent.
I think you could at least get a 6th or a 5th potentially for Miles Sanders, sending him to the Bengals, just because they're in such desperate need for that type of player. Because Miles Sanders, to me, does have a similar play style to a Joe Mixon, who they desperately miss.
Yeah. Chase Brown looks good, though.
Yeah, he does.
He does look good. Chase Brown does look good, but I understand where you're coming from. You want to have depth at that position. And you want to have a guy that can kind of be a change of pace back. And he's kind of like a scat back type, in my opinion. So, I get it. What about you?
Yeah, I think Miles Sanders is a definitely go. Adam Thielen, I wouldn't hate that either. I'm not going to, miss the guy by any stretch or anything like that. I did see him say today that he has a no-trade clause, or he doesn't have a no-trade clause, so they can do whatever they want. But he was he believes that – he said he wants to be in Carolina.
That's a lie.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
Hey, Adam Thielen, nobody believes that. If you watch, I know that matter of fact, I'm not even going to make any further comment in regards to that, but listen to me. If you watch, just know and understand, we don't believe you when you say you want to be in Carolina. For me personally, you said and done too many things that tells me and shows me otherwise. So we don't believe you, nigga. But,
but he did
sit on your high horse if you'd like.
He did say that he thinks that the Carolina Panthers want to retain him. So, I'm not indifferent either or. Like I said, this is just a time where you're getting draft capital. Like what you said, I don't think that they're going to go and buy anybody or go and get anybody or anything like that. It's just simply we talked about this multiple weeks ago. You load up on as many draft picks as possible, and then you go and your season is going to be made in the draft, honestly. So, I don't hate that. Jadeveon Clowney, I'm indifferent, honestly, because, he hasn't really shown me shit thus far.
You say that, but he low-key do be making plays, bro.
Yeah.
It's some plays that are very, very frustrating when you see the opportunities he's had to have some sacks. But he's played halfway decent, bro. If you look at look at some of his reps. Look at his reps in totality.
Yeah,
and not necessarily the stat sheet. He looked halfway decent.
I'm just not attracted to really halfway decent. So, I don't care. If you can get draft capital, then that's kind of where we're at with this team.
What value?
It's hard for me to say that, being that Deontay Johnson damn near gave no value. So I don't really know.
Yeah, the Carolina Panthers did themselves a huge disservice, bro, with that deal.
So just saying, decision. Just value, I don't even really know what that means to the Panthers at this point, honestly.
I think you're way too thin at that position to really be thinking about moving anybody.
What difference does it make?
And
he's only on a 1-year deal. What difference does it make? You're not going to win regardless. You're not going to win. Wanham is allegedly supposed to be coming back very, very soon.
Where's Amari Barno at? Is he still hurt? I haven't heard his name in I don't know how long.
Let's look.
I damn near think he got cut. I don't know why.
I have the same feeling. I don't know why either. But I have the same feeling, but I don't think that that's accurate. He's been on the PUP list. He's been on the PUP list. That's all it says. He's on the PUP list, I guess, still. I don't know. I'm just never mind. Never mind. I don't have it. I mean, yeah. I don't know what value you get for Jadeveon. But like I said, with guys that are on 1-year deals and you didn't make the effort to get a deal done before the season started, then there's just simply no point. Like, Jadeveon Clowney was on a 1-year deal. We gave him the opportunity to play at home. We gave him the opportunity to play with JC like he wanted.
Because we damn near know
like
he's
that.
not signing back, right?
Yeah, 1,000%.
Okay.
I don't think that we'll have a use for him at the end of next year.
Why is that the assumption so quickly?
What, that
That he's not
back?
signing back? Yeah.
Why would he?
I mean, he's pretty much
He's
his
old.
career is just about over.
Yeah, his career is just about over, and he
So-
doesn't have a ring.
Yeah, why not just go and try to chase one of
Because
those?
you got your bread this
It
year.
depends what his values are. Like, does he truly want that ring, or does he want to finish out his career
At
close
home?
to home?
I mean, I guess
You know,
that's
I think,
one way to think about it. And I'm not going to sit here and act like Jadeveon Clowney is not a piece worth having, especially when we look at the room that we currently have, and we don't know this front office, in my opinion, is very unpredictable. We saw that with the Jonathan Brooks pick in the second round. We saw with some of the moves. You look at the Deontay Johnson move. That was a move that I don't think any of us really saw coming. Not for the assets that we gave up, which was pretty much nothing when you look at the fact that Dante Jackson was going to be cut. So this front office to me, is very unpredictable. And I think that Jadeveon Clowney would have some value internally. I don't know what his market looks like as we approach 4 p.m. this afternoon. I don't.
I don't see Jadeveon being a first wave of free agency signing guy. Like, I don't see him being one of those guys that signs in that first big window.
Yeah.
So I think he'll still be available a little bit later on in the offseason. And I feel like if the Panthers make the proper moves necessary this offseason to improve the roster and show that this team is going somewhere, I don't really think it's that hard of a sell to, hey, Jadeveon, you're getting kind of older. This is your hometown, or like you're close to your hometown. Why don't you just finish off your career here? We'll give you a nice 2-3 year deal. We're going to bring in a young edge. We want you to mentor him, teach him the ropes of how to be a professional in the NFL, and, finish out your career as a Panther. I don't think that's a hard sell.
Fair enough.
And he's made plenty of plays for you this season to, validate wanting to keep him.
I wouldn't say plenty.
Not plenty.
He's made enough.
He's made
enough plays
Sure.
for you to validate keeping him. He closed
Sure.
out. He closed out the game yesterday.
Mike Jackson closed out the game yesterday.
I mean, Jadeveon, go back and watch that final drive. Jadeveon generated a lot of pressure right up the middle to keep all that shit contained.
He did.
So,
No, he did 1,000%. I just wanted to make sure we set the record straight. That was two ball.
maybe not.
That was 2 ball.
And 30 ball.
Yeah. The way he slid in the end zone, yeah, that shit had me turned up.
What'd you say?
Nah, for sure. Yeah. Hey, shout out Chuba Hubbard. If we don't shout out nobody else on this podcast ever for the rest of the season, I don't give a fuck. Chuba Hubbard, Sam Franklin, and Mike Jackson. Everybody else, love you.
What?
What, bro? What did you have to say?
Nothing.
What? Why is Mike Jackson on that list, or why is Sam Franklin on that list?
It's Sam Franklin.
Because that's bro. That's why. You already know that.
Cool.
Shout out, bro. Don't.
Who's your player of the game, bro? You don't got to do all of that shit. You don't got to do all of
Is it not going to be the person you just shouted out?
I mean, yeah, but it's so easy to say that. Between him and Damani. And shit, I mean, I'd be remiss to not give honorable mentions to Mike and JC too. I mean, allowing 0 catches as the primary defender, they have to get honorable mentions. But I'm going to say Damani just because we didn't mention him last week at all. Had a PBU, 12 or 13 tackles flying around the field. Like I said, you feel his energy and you feel his presence. Those are the type young guys we need around and kind of try to build off of. Those are the type guys we need. Same thing with J.C. Horn. Even though he's in year 4, year 5, whatever the case may be, year 4, a lot of people wouldn't necessarily deem him as a younger guy, but to me, he's still a younger guy. I think he has a lot of great football left in the tank. Those are the type pieces you need to build off of. Guys that's going to crash out, especially when we're talking about defensively, and make plays and be in the right position at the right time. So I'm going to say Damani. I'm assuming y'all are both going to say Chuba, correct?
No, I'm going to say JT Sanders.
Good.
Just because I think that he showed what he has the potential to be in the league. I think he's a tight end that we've been missing for a while. He just has some, has to get his blocking down right. Some of those mental mistakes he was making earlier in the season. Not really seeing too much more of those. But, yeah, he shows that he can be a weapon for Bryce going forward or whatever quarterback that we may have. Was really impressed with the way he played. Made one of the highlights of the NFL this week. So, JT.
That was an impressive run. You know who I'm going to say.
He's going to piss me off intentionally. Why?
Number 9.
Most tackles by a DB. Most tackles by a DB in weeks 8 and 9. Damani Richardson at number 2. Buda Baker at number 1. And Trayvon Morig? I don't know that nigga.
Trayvon Moring.
Okay, yeah.
What was your reason then for Bryce?
What was your reason? My fault. That shit just popped up on my
I don't know why you.
My apologies. Well, just because niggas looked at me crazy when I said Damani. And then.
No, you had already explained that to us earlier in the show.
He's nice. Sorry, buddy.
No, you're good.
Who was your person? Who was your player of the game?
Bryce.
Okay. Go ahead. Just talk to them.
Can it not be Bryce?
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
you're a player of the game. Go ahead.
Yeah,
dumb as fuck, but go ahead.
I mean, I think it's Bryce because he grew. I'm gonna give it to Bryce because of where he came from. How piss poor he had played up to this point in the season.
Do you mind if I read off the stat line?
Yeah, go ahead. You can read it off, but I'm just gonna, and then I'll give you my reasoning for why it was Bryce. Go ahead.
Okay. Just because I want to make sure that this is who you actually want to pick.
Yeah. Okay.
16 and 26, 171, a touchdown and an interception.
Yep. Still want to pick Bryce.
Okay, cool.
Because I thought he actually did make some really good decisions with the ball yesterday, and I thought, as you mature in life as a man, your nuts drop at one point or another, and your body starts to change. And while I don't think his nuts have dropped, I think his sack might have stretched a little bit. I think his sack stretched a little bit, and he's about to start growing. So for that, and he showed great poise in that final drive leading the team down the field where Chuba did cap it off. Obviously, we said it would be easy to call Chuba the player of the game because you could say Chuba was the player of the game every week this season, damn near, except for maybe last week. But I do think, I thought for where Bryce has been and, how hard everybody has been on him pretty much the entire time he's been in Carolina, us included, I thought he played I thought he responded well to his benching and then starting again. So I'm going to give it a 9.
Another participation trophy for Bryce Young. Shout out to you.
Isn't it funny, though, how Sean Payton was talking about running up the score and shit last week with and they got their fucking shit kicked in by the Ravens this past week?
Fuck them. I can't stand them.
I thought that was very amusing. It was like 40-14 at one point.
Yeah.
Life comes at you
caught
fast.
A touchdown.
Life comes at you fast.
It does. You'll be going live on Friday this week.
Friday, got it.
If you did that every time I spoke, your life would be a lot better. Trust me.
What? Listen?
Yeah, to me, when I speak, especially on here, because I be telling you everything that's going on, but then you swear that you don't be knowing shit that's going on.
If so much other bullshit didn't come out of your mouth in addition to the other stuff,
all I do is speak facts on this podcast, bro. So all I do is speak facts on this podcast.
I'm not even gonna say that.
All I do is speak facts on this podcast, bro. Literally, honestly, I told niggas Mike Jackson. I told
you didn't know one situation.
I told niggas Mike Jackson was gonna be that nigga. And what did you see?
Wow.
What have you seen up to this point? I told niggas if they didn't sign Deontay Johnson, it was gonna be a problem. Told niggas Chuba Hubbard and Miles Sanders.
Was it a problem though? Shipping them. They just shipped them. It wasn't really a problem.
No, it was a problem. The compensation was the problem. So yeah, it was a problem. It was a problem to me. Do you feel differently?
Yeah, I mean,
You do?
But I don't
but
feel
you
like a
don't fuck
lever.
with, you don't fuck with them. Your opinion doesn't matter.
I don't know where this narrative got painted, bro, but it needs to die.
Painted? All they got to do is go turn on the fucking podcast from July all the way up until October. And that's where it got painted.
I just say he's a mediocre receiver. And you say that mediocre receiver is great for the Panthers. So, and I said that we love mediocrity, led by you. That's what I said.
Shout out to y'all, man. Keep pounding. Shout out to the Panthers getting their second win on the year. Hey,
are you gonna be at the Chiefs game?
Yes, I will be at the Chiefs game, and I will be at the Cowboys game. Those are going to be the last 2 games that I attend for the season. Those are going to be the only 2 games that I attend for the season. So if you watch this podcast, and oh no, we're going to Atlanta too, ain't we? Yeah, we are. Actually, I'm not going to let you get a shit.
No, when is that game?
Week 18, January 5th.
I think I might wear a bag over my head for that game.
Cowboys?
Yeah. I think I want to make a statement.
January 5th.
Let me just tell you this, and maybe this will play a part in your decision making. We'll be in one of 2 places. Either we'll be in the club, one of 3 places, and this is no bullshit. We'll either be in the club, we'll either be in the suite, or we'll be 4 rows up.
Oh, I'll be there.
Okay, cool. So
for the Chiefs game?
No, for the Atlanta Falcons game on January 5th in Atlanta. Chiefs game is a definite. Cowboys game is a definite. Home games, that's gonna be it.
May or may not be going to the Bucks game. Loading.
Okay, have fun. You can have my ticket if you want. That's what I was actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't care. I'm not going. That's what I was gonna say.
I might need 2.
Oh well, I can't fuck that. I mean, I don't do that. Actually, how many home games do we have left? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so if you want 1 free ticket for the Cardinals game, just contact me. Contact the page on DM any page that you follow on, comment, whatever. We'll get in touch with you somehow. I have 1 ticket, section 233, IOC. You can have it for free. But you got to be following. You got to be following, and you have to at least tag us in 1 picture. Because though I'm trying to be cool about, everything and not tweak out, like there's just simply, actually, never mind, because it's just going to sound ungrateful. Let me just stop while I'm ahead.
I mean, if you win a giveaway and you get free tickets, it would be nice to get tagged, especially when you get put up in the club.
Yeah,
I know you with your mans and shit. You want to act like
No. This was a different one.
Oh,
the one with the mans, they couldn't go. So this was another lady.
Who did she take?
Her mom.
Oh,
okay. Well.
Oh, okay. What, nigga?
I'm just gonna. I'm gonna
change. Now you gonna make me sound like a dick. See, he's gonna. What does that mean?
I mean, you and your mom still could have tagged us, but I just thought it was on some shit where she was trying to front like her man bought the club tickets, knowing damn well he ain't buy shit.
Oh yeah, see that,
but
that's always
again,
where
that's
you
on,
go.
That's on my fault.
Yeah, that's always where you. He always goes there, bro.
My fault.
Always, you always go there.
Just because I hate.
See.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Appreciate y'all for tuning in. I'm done.
What else? Friday at 8 p.m. I guess. I don't know. I gotta see if we have somebody live. Who do we play this week? Who do we play?
The
Giants.
And
Munich. Carolina Panthers will be in Germany. 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time kickoff in Germany. I think I have the Giants winning this game. But that could change on Friday. So don't hold me to that. But I think right now that Giants D-line is special.
our offensive line is too when healthy.
Very true. Tyrone is special. Malik is special. JC and Mike is too. So.
And Damani, who you say he is.
Damani is special. Coker is special. XL special. JT special.
Cocaine Cowboys, baby.
Yes, Lord. Shout out to the Cocaine Cowboys, man. You know what time it is. Hey, you see the video that they put up of when bro scored and he did his celebration? He had everybody in that motherfucker riding that bitch. You seen it?
Yeah, I think he got to get a new celebration.
I like it.
I'm damn near tired of it already.
Why?
I fuck with it.
Fuck dollar bill, man.
Hey, watch your mouth, nigga. Watch your mouth, man. Be respectful. Why you hating on it? What's wrong with it?
I'm just saying, like, do
He's a
something
cowboy.
New. Do something new.
He's a cowboy.
Very
And
cool.
Jalen Coker, when you score your first touchdown,
Do a
line
line.
of cocaine.
Do a line.
Simple. Oh no, he already scored one. What was his celebration?
When did he score?
He scored last week. He scored against Denver, didn't he? Yeah, he scored his second
Oh,
touchdown. If I'm
yeah,
not
I don't
mistaken.
know what he did.
But we
He
hadn't
do a
we
lot
hadn't
of
deemed him. We hadn't deemed him yet. He
Cocaine
didn't get the
Club
name.
Cowboys.
Yeah, we
Yeah, niggas just completely
We might
disregarded.
stash something under the goalpost for him.
Oh. Wait, yeah, you're wild. But yeah, that's all I got. I hope y'all enjoyed the episode. Sorry for the low energy at the beginning of the podcast.
Blame Terrence.
Fuck are you blaming me for?
Yeah, no, actually, yeah, blame Terrence. 'Cause I tell y'all all the time, he never sings, he never dances with me, he never does any of that. So, you know, it has
Nigga,
to
you
be
the one
something.
said that there was no reason to get hyped because whatever the fuck you spewed out all over the
The
gym.
Carolina Panthers still could make the playoffs. It's very possible.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Nah, I'm bullshit. We'll talk to y'all on Friday, man. Make sure to tune in.
Niggas stole a chain, but they ain't worried, fool. I'ma keep on spinning till they tell me.